Russia, land of icy plains, enigmatic Tsars, and enough history to fill 1,000 books. Who would have thought this colossal nation, stretching across 11 time zones, had rather unexpected beginnings? Fasten your seatbelts because we're about to embark on a whirlwind journey through Russian history, from Viking raiders to communist revolutionaries and beyond. We'll encounter fearsome warriors, ambitious rulers, and dramatic turning points that shaped this global superpower. Get ready for tales of expansion, revolution, and resilience, all delivered with a dash of wit. Think of it as a crash course in Russian history, fast-paced, informative, and hopefully downright entertaining. Our story begins with unexpected guests, Vikings. These Scandinavian adventurers, with their horned helmets and lust for exploration, ventured east into Slavic lands. Imagine their surprise when they found not only riches, but also a people ripe for organization. Thus emerged Kievan Rus, a loose federation of Slavic tribes ruled by, you guessed it, Viking descendants. These Vikings, however, traded their raiding ways for something a little more civilized. They embraced Slavic culture, language, and even adopted Orthodox Christianity. Talk about a career change. Just as Kievan Rus was finding its footing, a storm brewed in the east, the Mongol Empire. This vast and formidable force, originating from the steppes of Central Asia, was unlike anything the world had seen before. The Mongols, with their unparalleled military tactics and fierce warriors, were on a mission to conquer and dominate. Led by the legendary and rather terrifying Genghis Khan, the Mongols swept across the land, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Genghis Khan, known for his strategic brilliance and ruthless efficiency, orchestrated invasions that decimated entire regions. His vision of a vast empire knew no bounds, and his armies were relentless. Kievan Rus, sadly, wasn't spared. The once thriving cities and towns of this early Russian state were reduced to rubble. The Mongol invasion brought with it not just physical destruction, but also a profound psychological impact on the people. The devastation was so extensive that it took years for the region to recover. Yet, from the ashes of this invasion, a new power emerged, Moscow. This small, relatively insignificant town began to rise in prominence. Its strategic location and the resilience of its people played a crucial role in its ascent. Moscow's leaders saw an opportunity amidst the chaos and seized it with both hands. While other cities crumbled, Moscow shrewdly negotiated with the Mongols, even collecting taxes on their behalf. This act of diplomacy and pragmatism set Moscow apart. By aligning themselves with the Mongol rulers, Moscow's leaders ensured the city's survival and laid the groundwork for future growth. Talk about playing the long game. Moscow's leaders were not just thinking about immediate survival, they had a vision for the future. They understood the importance of building alliances and leveraging their position to gain favor with the Mongol overlords. This strategy paid off in the long run. This cunning strategy allowed Moscow to grow in strength and influence, eventually becoming the heart of a new Russian state. Over time, Moscow expanded its territories, absorbed neighboring regions, and solidified its power. The city's rise from the shadows of the Mongol invasion to the center of a burgeoning empire is a testament to the resilience and strategic acumen of its leaders. Moscow's story is one of transformation, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. Fast forward a few centuries, and we meet Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible. Now, Ivan wasn't exactly known for his sunny disposition. He was known to have a bit of a temper which, in his defense, was somewhat understandable considering he was crowned Tsar at the tender age of 3. Despite his nickname, Ivan was a formidable ruler. He expanded Russia's borders, subjugated rival nobles, and even created a terrifying secret police force. Let's just say you didn't want to be on Ivan's bad side. Next up we have Peter the Great, a Tsar so determined to modernize Russia that he went undercover in Europe to learn their ways. Born in 1672, Peter ascended to the throne at the tender age of 10. But it wasn't until he was older that his vision for Russia began to take shape. He realized that to compete with the great powers of Europe, Russia needed to catch up in terms of technology, culture, and governance. Talk about commitment! Peter was obsessed with all things Western, from shipbuilding to fashion. He spent time in the Netherlands and England, working incognito in shipyards to learn the intricacies of shipbuilding. This hands-on experience was invaluable and led to the creation of a formidable Russian navy. But his fascination didn't stop at ships. Peter was equally captivated by Western clothing and customs, which he believed were essential for Russia's modernization. He even brought back a beard tax to encourage Russians to adopt a more modern look. Imagine the shock among the Russian nobility when Peter decreed that all men, except for clergy and peasants, had to shave their beards or pay a hefty tax. This was Peter's way of pushing his countrymen to embrace Western styles and abandon what he saw as outdated traditions. Peter's reign saw Russia transform into a major European power, complete with a brand new capital, St. Petersburg, built on the shores of the Baltic Sea. This city was Peter's masterpiece, designed to be Russia's window to the West. Constructed with the help of European architects and engineers, St. Petersburg became a symbol of Russia's new direction. The city featured wide boulevards, grand palaces, and a bustling port, all of which showcased Peter's vision of a modern, Europeanized Russia. This window to the West solidified Russia's place on the world stage. Through his relentless efforts, Peter the Great not only expanded Russia's territory, but also its influence. His reforms touched every aspect of Russian life, from the military to education and even the church. By the time of his death in 1725, Peter had irrevocably changed the course of Russian history, setting the stage for the country's emergence as a major European power. The 20th century ushered in a new era for Russia, marked by the dramatic rise of communism. The seeds of revolution were sown in the discontent of the masses, who were suffering under the weight of economic hardship and political repression. The winds of change began to blow, and the stage was set for a monumental shift in the country's history. The Romanov dynasty, which had ruled for centuries, crumbled in the face of revolution. Tsar Nicholas II, the last emperor of Russia, found himself unable to quell the rising tide of unrest. The once mighty Romanovs were swept away by the forces of change, and the old order was dismantled. Enter Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks, who promised a socialist utopia. Lenin's vision of a classless society resonated with the war-weary and impoverished populace. The October Revolution of 1917 was a turning point, as the Bolsheviks seized power and set about transforming the nation. What followed was a period of immense upheaval, civil war, and the formation of the Soviet Union, a vast communist state stretching from Eastern Europe to the Pacific. The Russian Civil War pitted the Red Army against the White Army, leading to years of brutal conflict. Ultimately, the Bolsheviks emerged victorious, and the Soviet Union was born. The Soviet Union soon found itself locked in a global standoff with the United States, the Cold War. This ideological battle between communism and capitalism defined much of the mid-20th century. The world watched as these two superpowers vied for dominance on the global stage. This tense period saw both sides amassing nuclear weapons and engaging in proxy wars across the globe. The threat of mutually assured destruction loomed large, casting a shadow over international relations. From the Korean War to the Vietnam War, the Cold War's influence was felt far and wide. On a lighter note, the space race provided some much-needed entertainment, with the Soviets taking an early lead by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, into orbit. This achievement marked the beginning of a new era in space exploration, capturing the imagination of people around the world. The competition between the Soviet Union and the United States in space technology showcased the scientific prowess of both nations and added a fascinating dimension to the Cold War rivalry. By the late 20th century, the Soviet system was on shaky ground. Enter Mikhail Gorbachev, a reformer who sought to breathe new life into the ailing superpower. His policies of glasnost, or openness, and perestroika, or restructuring, ultimately led to the Soviet Union's dissolution in 1991. In the aftermath of the Soviet collapse, Russia faced a turbulent decade of economic hardship and political uncertainty. From this turmoil emerged Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent who promised to restore order and stability. Today, Russia stands as a resurgent global power, wielding significant political, military, and economic influence. From its vast natural resources to its rich cultural heritage, Russia continues to fascinate and captivate the world. It's a nation forged over centuries, shaped by the ambitions of Tsars, the struggles of revolutionaries, and the enduring spirit of its people. If you enjoyed this whirlwind tour through Russian history, be sure to subscribe for more engaging and witty explorations of the past. After all, history is never truly in the past. It's the foundation upon which the present is built.